Shalom, giving all praises and all glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahawashi Bahashem, Wachachwadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of great Muslim that rule well, and shalom to all the Akim that are teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, back with another lesson to help edify the Lord's elect. As always, I like to begin by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. And the real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. However, you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations because we as a people have been scattered amongst all nations throughout our various captivities. But if your sea line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I'm just going to do a lesson here going into Esau being a liar and the father of it. I was out and about today and I saw this newspaper in the shop and it says, RAF chief, let's find out what's in the UFOs before we all get too excited. And it's got this stupid headline here which says, don't shoot ET. As if Esau could bring down chariots. It says, we must stop blasting UFOs until we know what's inside them, says RAF Chief Sir Michael Graydon. Right, that's a good idea, says ET left. And they try and hide this thing in humour, but the fact of the matter is that Esau's scared because he knows the truth about what these chariots represent. Now, most of the world is ignorant to this knowledge because most of the world is ignorant to the truth of the scriptures. But we are not ignorant, us brothers that are in the truth. We're not in darkness, we're not slumbering as others do, but we're awakened unto the light of the truth. So Esau claims that they've shot down some chariots, but that's bullshit, because there's no way in hell Esau's going to shoot down a chariot, because you can't use carnal weapons against the spirit. You see, these chariots, they're coming from the spiritual realm, and Esau's technology only allows him to go so far. What do you think, that Esau's going to outmaneuver the Most High, who is a man of war? The Most High Yahweh, he's the God of war. Any technology that Esau's got has been given unto him by the Most High. Now, is the Most High going to allow Esau to rule forever? No. Job says the Most High has appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. What is that? Is it Job 14 and 5? Let me check that. Yes, this is exactly the scripture that I want. Job chapter 14 verse 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. So who are the number of Esau's months with? With the Most High. So thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Just read that again. Job 14 verse 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So there's no way in hell Esau can go beyond the measure that the Most High has appointed him to. So I'm going to get some scriptures on the chariots and let's get into it, right? Let's start with Isaiah 31 and 3. No, let me start with Zechariah 5. Then I'll go to Isaiah. Zechariah, the 5th chapter, starting from the first verse, it says, then turned I and lift up my eyes and looked and beheld a flying roll. So now you have to put your mind back into the time of Zechariah. During the time when Zechariah was walking the earth, in that incarnation, there were no flying machines. This scripture was written way before the 1900s, before the Wright brothers came up with the technology for the airplane. I believe it was the Wright brothers. So what was Zechariah seeing when he looked up into the sky? He was seeing a chariot. Now, the chariots of Israel have always been present throughout the scriptures. Even during the Exodus, it's a chariot that guided us out. What did they refer to it as? A pillar of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. It was a chariot. And, there's many examples, for example, in the book of Numbers, where it says the fire of the Lord was kindled, and certain wicked Israelites were destroyed. Yeah, they were blasted by the chariot in the wilderness, man. But again, that's not something you're going to get. That's not knowledge you're going to get from your Christian pastors in this church, in the churches. Another good example, when Miriam in Numbers 12 spoke against Moses, it says the pillar of. Let me get it rather than roughly paraphrase it, just to illustrate the point. Numbers 12. It starts about verse 10, doesn't it? Yeah. Let me just read it for context and I'll get back into Zechariah. Numbers 12 from verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, Hath Yahawashi indeed spoken only by Moses? Have you not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they came out, and they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of a cloud, so the chariot descended and stood in the door of the tabernacle. And they called both Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. See, so again, as I'm saying, the chariots have always been present throughout the scriptures, from Old Testament right through into New Testament, right through to this present day. But it's a mystery, because the Bible is a book of mysteries, dark sayings, parables. So when oftentimes you hear, sometimes it will refer to the chariots as chariots, the chariots of Yahweh, the chariots of Israel, a cloud. You know what I'm saying? These are code words to describe what today the world would ignorantly refer to as UFOs, which is unidentified flying objects. When they're not unidentified, the scriptures clearly tell you what they are. Or they call them UAPs now, which is unidentified aerial phenomenon. So let's go back to Zechariah, the 5th chapter. All right? Because this gives you a good example of what these are and why they're here. Zechariah 5 and verse 1, it says, Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked and beheld a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. So Zechariah was estimating its length and its breadth. Then said he unto me, now this is the angel that was speaking with Zechariah, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. So these UAPs, UFOs, these represent the curse that go forth over the face of the whole earth. So all around the world, you've got the chariots of the Lord. But most people can't see them because they cloak themselves as clouds, or they can be totally invisible. Where they can change size, they can be really large, they can be really small. You know what I mean? They're out of this world. When I say they're out of this world, they're not bound by the laws that most physical phenomena in this realm deals with, such as, physics. They can defy the laws of physics. They're on another level, man. That's why you got to laugh at Esau with his fucking lies. Like, oh yeah, we just shot down a chariot. Yeah, right. Just like you killed Osama bin Laden and dumped his ass in the ocean, right? More lies from Esau. Esau is he is a liar from the beginning and abode not in the truth. This is his nature. This is his power, his lies. But guess what? The truth always shatters lies. The truth is like the light that shines in a dark place. And what I'm going to do through the light of the scriptures is give some edification on what these chariots are and why Esau is unable to shoot them down and why he has to lie about it. So, verse 3, Zechariah 5 verse 3, Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according unto it. And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according unto it. You see, because these chariots are going to represent the division, the dividing line. You see, the elect, to us, Lord willing, we be of the hopeful elect. These chariots represents the instruments of our salvation from the coming thermonuclear destruction. However, they also represent the destruction of Esau and his kingdom, because Yahawashi is coming back in a great big chariot. Ezra said, I saw a mountain a chariot as large as a mountain, roughly paraphrasing. That was the great fathership that Yahawashi is coming back in. But Yahawashi is not coming alone. He's coming with an innumerable number of chariots which are going to be piloted by angels. And he's coming to destroy Esau and his empire, his kingdom. Esau's going down, right? So it says, verse 4, and what did the scripture say about he that stealeth a man? Who stole us? Esau sold us into slavery, put us into hardcore bondage and captivity. So Esau is a thief, and he's going to have to pay for what he's stolen. He's stolen the Lord's people, and he refuses to let us go, just the same way that Pharaoh refused to let us go during the days of the Exodus. So it's there's nothing new under the sun. Verse 4, it says, and I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. This is the house of the thief. This is Esau's kingdom. So these chariots are going to enter into it. They will into the house of him that sware falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of this house, and it shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. So these chariots are going to be bringing even more fire to the earth than what's going to be brought with the intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's going to be a rain of fire, man, pertaining to 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. So let's get Isaiah 31 and verse 3. So this says, now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. You see, because we're living in modern day Egypt, which is pretty much Babylon the Great, which is America, which pretty much has dominance over the world for the most part. And so they would be referred to as the modern day Egyptians. Now it says, now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is holpen shall fall down, and they shall fall together. You see, because Esau's technology, is flesh, and the flesh cannot beat the spirit. That's why Esau can't overcome the elect, because though we live in the flesh, we're kind of dead to the flesh, and we live in the spirit. We move by the Spirit. We're operating off the Holy Spirit. And that's something that Esau can't conquer. Because if he was to move carnally, Esau could have dominion over us. Because Esau has that blessing. His blessing is the sword. And Esau is a carnal man. But the thing is, when it comes to the issues of the Spirit, Esau has no power there. That's how Lord willing, we will be able to overcome this man and overcome his mark and his system through being strong in the Spirit and being dead to this world. So, verse 4, for thus hath Yahweh spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall Yahweh of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and the hill thereof. Here's the point. And as birds flying, so will Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it. That's a powerful verse, man. Isaiah 31 and verse 5. As birds flying. So when you see a flock of birds flying, they usually fly in that kind of V-shaped formation. Well, guess what? The chariots are going to be coming into this atmosphere, making themselves manifest, and they will look as birds flying. They'll be flying through the sky. This is as birds flying, so will Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. So to defend Jerusalem, who is the Most High dealing with? Zechariah 13 in verse 8 says, not all Israel is of Israel, two-thirds shall be cut off therein and die, but a third part I will bring through the fire, and I will refine them as gold is tried. So that third part represents the elect, which is the 144,000 Salakia men of the 12,000 for each of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, plus the 1/3, which will be, believing women and children, who are also going to be delivered. You know, so as birds flying will the Lord defend Jerusalem. We represent Jerusalem now, you know, and defending also he will deliver it. As I said, the elect are going to be beamed up into the chariots, delivered from the thermonuclear destruction, and passing over he will preserve it, because that goes back to the night of the Passover. You know, that we had to partake in the ritual of slaying a lamb, male 1 year without blemish, and putting the blood upon the doorposts and above the door, so that the angel of death would pass over our households and preserve us, while at the same time destroying the Egyptians, or all the male firstborn, be it of man, beast, cattle, you know, all the firstborn died, but we were passed over. Now, in this second Passover, when Yahawashi comes, because Yahawashi was the angel of death that passed over the nation of Egypt in Exodus, Yahawashi is coming again to visit the earth as the angel of death, as the right hand of Yahweh. It says the Lord will descend from heaven with a shout, meaning Yahawashi. He's going to descend, but Lord willing, if we're covered by the blood of the Lamb, you know, the blood that Yahawashi shed on the cross 2,000 years ago, those that are covered by that blood, they're going to be passed over and they're going to be delivered in this second Exodus, where we're delivered from Babylon the Great and from all the other lands that we've been scattered amongst in our various captivities. So, as I said, the Most High is coming with spiritual armies. You can't beat the spirit with carnality. You can't shoot a spirit, man. What the fuck you know? That should be common sense, man. To anybody with any understanding, you can't use a gun against a ghost, man. A spirit. What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot it? You can't kill it. Furthermore, Yahawashi is not gonna meet us as a man, or he's not gonna meet Esau as a man. The scriptures say, "I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man." Yahawashi is coming back as the second most powerful entity in all of creation. So, what do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna be able to shoot him with a gun, throw a hand grenade at him, what, use some fucking fighter jets to shoot him down? It ain't gonna work, man. Then the scriptures are gonna go into it. Let me let the scriptures talk. So let's get Revelation 12 and 7. Let's go there. Revelation 12 and verse 7. See, Esau's got to talk this talk to get people gassed, to make them think that they've got a chance against fighting Yahawashi. But they ain't got a hope in hell, man. They ain't got a hope in hell. But Esau has to tell these lies so that the men in his military are foolish enough to believe that they've got a chance to win. Revelation 12 and verse 7. And there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels. So what does the dragon represent? The dragon represents the revival of the Roman Empire, because the first Roman Empire fell, and it had a deadly wound to its head, but it didn't die completely. It revived and it came back. So since the Renaissance period, we've been living in the revival of that, pagan Roman Empire. So that represents the dragon, which is Esau and his empire. And Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, meaning Michael, the archangel, he's going to be with Yahawashi, and they're going to come with the chariots, and there's going to be war in heaven, meaning there's going to be, an aerial dogfight between Esau and his military versus the Most High and his military. So there will be, war in heaven, meaning that they'll be fighting in the sky. But it says, and they prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. You see, because Esau is the man coming after the working of Satan. But the real spiritual demon, Satan, he's not going to be fighting. You know what I mean? Satan serves the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Satan isn't some some rogue agent that's trying to usurp or overthrow the Most High. No, Satan knows his place, but his place was to deceive the wicked, which is the Edomites, to make them think that they can overcome Yahawashi. But it's going to come to pass that they're going to be found, oh shit, we done picked the wrong battle. we are trying to punch above our weight, and they're going to be destroyed. So it says, verse 9, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Again, coming back to the point of why I'm doing this lesson, look at him with his lies. Don't shoot E.T. So he's trying to deceive the whole world into thinking that he is God and that none can challenge him. I mean, look at this stupid fighter jet in the background. Just looking at that looks stupid, man. I mean, if you've ever seen a chariot, this looks like some fucking it's like the difference between looking at a real car and looking like at some like toy Matchbox car or some fucking, toy model kit car compared to a real car. Ain't no comparison, man. Like, you're not gonna have a race and have a fucking Matchbox car beat a real car in a race. Thing can't even power itself. I mean, what are you gonna do? You push it and it goes a little bit. It's got no engine. That's the difference between the technology of the Most High. Actually, that's even a poor example. The technology of the Most High is so far beyond anything we can comprehend that there is no way in hell that this physical fucking rust bucket, piece of shit, is it F-15 or whatever, is gonna shoot down a chariot. Ain't gonna happen, man. Ain't gonna happen. So let's go back to the scriptures. I've got a lot more to say in terms of bringing out precepts. So I finished this one. Let's get another one. What we got? 2 Ezra 13. Let's go there. 2 Ezra 13th chapter, starting from the first verse, says, and it came to pass, after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. So who is that man that waxed strong? It's talking about Yahawashi, right? Revelation 1, the Lord cometh. I'll get into that in a second. Let me finish this, right? And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong, and the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. What's this describing? This is describing the laser beams coming out of the chariots and blasting people to smithereens. Good visual example of that would be the film War of the Worlds, the Steven Spielberg version with Tom Cruise in it. Where you have the chariot come out of the ground and it starts blasting people into ashes. Yeah, man, they get their influences from the scriptures, man. And let's read this. It says, and wheresoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So this is the armies rising up to fight against Yahawashi. With their military, their fighter jets, their helicopters, their missiles, everything. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it, meaning that Yahawashi's chariot is going to be huge. But I would have seen a region or place where that he was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. See, this comes into the hitting the nail on the head. 2 Ezra 13 and 8, read it again. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. See, Esau needs to tell these lies to get his soldiers gassed up. They need to be gassed up because they're going to be terrified when they see the reality of the chariots, not on a little 30-second video clip on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. When they see these things up close, direct and personal, they're going to be shitting themselves, and rightfully so, man. How the hell do you think you're going to fight against the army of the Most High and win? So these people are going to be shitting themselves, but this is why Esau needs to sow these seeds now in order to get these people gassed, to make them think that they've got a fighting chance. But they ain't got hope in hell. And it says, verse 9, 2 Ezra 13, verse 9, and lo, And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, meaning out of the chariot, as it had been a blast of fire. Now, a great example for a visual of that would be the film Independence Day. You know, the first one, when you see the chariots, they come out of the clouds. The chariots coming out of the clouds with fire, and they position themselves around all these key positions on the earth. And then when that timer went down, when it hit zero, when Jeff Goldblum says time's up, then the blast come out of the chariot as described here. I'll read it again. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. So what's that fire? That's like laser beams, concentrated fire. It's got to come out, and out of his lips a flaming breath. It's like and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude that was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of a innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. And when I saw this, I was afraid. So even Ezra was shook when he saw the violence of the destruction of the multitude that dared to rise up to fight against Yahawashi. See, Esau's going to be fucking decimated, man. His armies are going to be decimated. And meanwhile, while this is all happening, while he's got these stupid fucking peons fighting, the elites are going to be hiding under the ground in their bunkers, man. They're going to be so afraid, but they've got all these fucking goons who are basically sold out to their system to go up and fight against the Lord, and they're going to die, man. The Most High have a sacrifice in Bosra, you know. Right, so let's go to the next precept I want. Revelation 1. Verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds, meaning he's coming with chariots. So we're going to go from here, we're going to go to Acts. Acts 1, starting about verse 5. Verse 6 actually. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom unto Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. But ye shall receive power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me in both Jerusalem, and in all Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. Here's the point, verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. So a chariot took Yahawashi up after he had resurrected. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. These were angels, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahawashi which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So, going back to Revelation 1 and verse 7 again. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds. So the same way he ascended into heaven is the same way he's coming back. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. Let's go to Revelation 19 verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So what was that white horse representative of? The horse represents power, and the white is obviously the purity, and it's Yahawashi that's going to be in it. Let's read that again. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. So that's Yahawashi. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed in a vesture dipped with blood, meaning that Yahawashi is going to slay many. And the many crowns represents the fact that he's going to take down the ruling kings of this current empire, which is headed up by the Edomites, because in 2nd Ezra it says that Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, which represents the fact that Esau would be in rulership at the end of all the kingdoms, pertaining to the prophecy spoken of by Daniel. For example, the vision that Nebuchadnezzar had of the statue. Each element that statue was composed of represented a different rulership. You know, the head being gold, representing the Babylonians. Then the chest was silver, the Medo-Persians. You know, forgive me. The waist part was brass, and then the legs and the feet were iron mixed with miry clay. Each element of that statue, as you go down, it represented the different kingdoms that had been in rulership. So you had the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, then a revival of the Roman Empire, which is what we're living in now, which was represented the legs and the feet, which was the iron mixed with miry clay. And in the vision, Daniel saw a great stone, or was a great millstone, carved without hands, which smote the feet of the statue, that represents Yahawashi coming back to destroy all these kingdoms and set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, which is the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be ruled by us Israelites. And no heathen nation is ever going to take us out of power again, because it's going to be an everlasting kingdom, world without end, right? But all these other kingdoms, they had appointed times to rule and appointed times to fall. Now Esau will have you think that he's been in power and rulership forever, but that's not true. He too has an appointed time to rule and an appointed time to fall. And as I read in Job 14 verse 5, the Most High has appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right? Get some more precepts here. Exodus 15. Yeah, Exodus 15 verse 3. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host have he cast into the sea, and his chosen captains are also drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them, they sank to the bottom as a stone. See, the Most High is a man of war, and the same way he destroyed the Egyptians back in ancient Egypt during the first Exodus is the same way he's going to destroy the Edomites and all the other nations that join with Esau to fight against Yahawashi. He's going to destroy them all just the same way. Ain't going to be a hard thing, man. Revelation 18 tells you that Babylon the Great will be destroyed within 1 hour. See, all these fucking years that Esau's been planning, you know, trying to get his New World Order plans in place and trying to develop all his weapons, it's all going to be destroyed in 1 hour. That's all it's going to take, you know. Psalms 91 and verse 1. It's a good one to get. Let's get that. Psalms 91 and verse 1 says, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power, and in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings thou shalt trust. His truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Here's the point. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. See, Yahawashi is coming to give his reward to every man according to as his work shall be, which is Revelation 22, I believe. It says that. But lo, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give you every man according as his work shall be. So the wicked are going to pay for the fruit of their wickedness. They're going to pay for it by the violence of their destruction that's coming by the hand of Yahawashi. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. And what do the scriptures say? This is the plague wherewith the Most High will smite the world. Is it Zechariah 14? Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongues in their mouths, and their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. That's the plague that the Most High is coming to smite the world with, which is the fire that will be caused by the thermonuclear destruction and the chariots, man. Again, good visual. Think Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The scene with Sarah Connor on the fence. You know, she's standing there, and her flesh consumes away while she's standing on her feet, and she gets blasted to smithereens. That's what's coming, man. That's what's coming, because those ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, they also represent part of Yahweh's army. So the Most High is coming to bring fire on all fronts, and is sending his son Yahawashi to spearhead that. Let's go to Revelation 8 and verse 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed a hail, and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. And the second angel sounded, and it was a great mountain, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Yeah, this isn't a scripture I want, so like I've written down the wrong verse. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon, 5th chapter. Then shall that righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labours. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. See, because it's going to be a miraculous thing when the world sees the elect being beamed up into these UFOs. That's something that the world has never seen. It wasn't even on their fucking itinerary of things that they ever expected to see. It's going to be a great deliverance, and it will show you the power of the Most High. And let's read how these people are going to feel when they see it. And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honour. How is he numbered amongst the children of God, and his lot is amongst the saints? You know? That's what they're going to be feeling when they see the deliverance of the elect. So we're going to go from there to Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20 now. Got these scriptures written down, so Isaiah 26 and verse 20 says, Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. That scripture represents the point where the elect get beamed up into the chariots, and we're going to be saved from this coming destruction of fire that's coming upon the earth. So that's that. Isaiah 66 verse 15 is another good one. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. So that's the judgment that's coming. I think I've made the point in this now. I've got a few more scriptures written down, but I think I've made the point. So with that, I'm going to close out. The point of the matter being that Esau's a liar. He's got no chance at fighting the Lord and winning. But hey, he's going to keep pushing his lies. But hey, we're not going to be caught up by that, because we know the truth according to the scriptures. Right? We know this man's end, and he hasn't got long left. And the fact that he has to start talking about this thing publicly means he knows that he ain't got long left. So with that, giving all praises once again, honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Wakakodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great millstone that rule well. Shalom to all the Archaim teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm out for this lesson, and I'll catch you on the next one, Lord willing. Shalom for now. Wa welcome, Shalom.